What's up, guys? Welcome back to Diesel Creek. If this is your first time joining us, my name's Matt. Behind me, this is my Bobcat S185 skid steer, and attached to the front of it is a new attachment I just picked up. Now, I wasn't going to make a video about this because I didn't think it was really going to be that much of a project, but it's turning into one. So here we are, and I'll let you guys follow along and see what we can't fix on this thing. So right off the bat, what is this thing? Well, this is what is often called a power rake or a Harley rake, or I'm sure there's a myriad of other terms used to describe these things, but basically what this is something that helps finish prepared ground. Like, so if you're putting back somebody's yard and it's got a bunch of rocks mixed in it, or it's like really tough and chunky topsoil, you can run this thing over top of it, and this drum spins not really fast but pretty quick, and what it does is like mulches up everything and makes it a real nice fine powder. And you can also angle this thing like it is right now, and what that'll do is it'll throw everything, all the material will throw forward, and the rocks will actually work their way right down to the end, and you'll create a nice little windrow of rocks right down the end, and you can come back and easily pick them up or work them all the way off to the edge or whatever. So it's quite a nice attachment if you're doing a lot of landscaping kind of work or finish grade. You can also freshen up gravel driveways or lots with this. So like over there on the edge of my driveway, you can see the gravel's kind of packed in, and it's pretty much, it's not that it's not there anymore, it's just that it's crushed down to the point where it doesn't have this loose kind of gravel on it. So I could run this thing across there a couple times, and that'll freshen it all up and bring the rock back to the surface and kind of work the dirt out of it. So I kind of kept my eye out for one of these attachments for a while. I don't have a ton of use for one, but I guess if I had one, I'd probably use it. So I came across a good deal on this one from a company I used to work for, actually. It's actually the same people I bought the skid steer off of 10 or 12 years ago. This is a Plaiden brand rake, and I think these things normally sell for around $10,000 new, and used I've never seen them really for less than 4 or 5, and they told me $3,000 for this one, so I said, well, that's a pretty good deal. And he said, there's a leak on it, you'll have to fix that before you can use it, but other than that, everything functions. And I brought it home here, pulled it off the trailer, connected the hoses. The drum spins just fine like it's supposed to, but the leak, I started looking around for this hydraulic leak that they were talking about, and I found it. See that? The whole back of the cylinder is ripped off. This is the cylinder that would angle the rake. It's ripped off. That's the back of the cylinder right there. So yeah, it probably leaks quite a bit. So I've already disconnected our hydraulic lines off of that cylinder, capped those off over here out of the way, and I was just about to start pulling the cylinder out when I thought you guys would probably like to see this. So these pins that hold the cylinder in, they had a retaining bolt through here, and there's really not a good way to get underneath here and drive this thing back out. You can't drive it straight down through because you're going to hit into this thing. So what we're going to do to remove this is weld a nut right there onto that retaining pin, and we'll use this slide hammer apparatus to just yank that thing right up out. And then hopefully this guy here looks like we should be able to drive it out with a hammer much easier. Also, while I was sitting here looking at that, I realized that this bolt, the retaining bolt here on the main pivot pin, is also sheared off. So we're going to do the same thing. We'll weld the nut on there, pull that thing up hopefully enough to knock the old bolt out, and then we can also use that nut to clock this thing in line with our holes again, drive it back down through, and put a new retaining bolt in it. Seems like we got that nut welded on pretty good. We'll go ahead and try to slide this thing up out now. Hopefully it's not seized in there. It's coming. I'm gonna spray some Croil down on this thing now. Maybe that'll help this thing slide out a bit easier. Oh yeah. Beautiful. There's our pin, which doesn't appear to be damaged in any way, not even worn. That's a good sign. They told me this was a low hour unit, they hadn't used it much, and I do believe them. You might be wondering how they could say that something like that is just a leak, but they're getting to be a pretty good sized company. It's hard to keep track of all that stuff, so I could totally understand them forgetting that something like this happens, believe it or not. All right, let's see if we had as good success with this one as the last one. Well then, doesn't seem to be going super well. Whew. Well, I don't think that sucker's been greased too much. This attachment's been sitting for a couple years without being used, so all the grease that was on it's all hardened up. But just soak that down with some Croil and all that grease will soften back up. She'll be good as new. So there's the other end of our cylinder. And I already looked up the parts. A brand new cylinder is $457. And if you guys have been following this channel for a while, you know that I am not somebody that wants to part with that $457. So I figure if some 6-year-old Taiwanese kid welded this thing together in a factory somewhere, I bet I can probably do it in the garage. So I'm gonna prep this thing up, clean everything real good, and hopefully I can weld this thing back onto the cylinder and we'll be good as new. All right, so after some fitting and some cleaning and some grinding, I got this thing looking pretty nice again. It's lined up like that. And it'll go. I think it just needs a little tappy tap to get down in there. And then we should be able to buzz that thing back together. Hammer time. Look at that. Factory fit right there, huh? Get the big blue hot snot gun and buzz that up. Shield is definitely weak. Well, I'm embarrassed to even show this. I promise you I did have a little bit better looking weld for a first pass, and it looked pretty good, but I decided I should go 2 passes wide here, and I just botched it. I don't know what's going on. I've never ever been a good MIG welder for whatever reason. I'm just terrible at it. Stick welding, I wish I would have had my stick welder here, because I know I could have made that look better with some 7018. But yeah, it's gonna hold. That really is just a cover pass. The first pass was a bit better than that. Just got some dingleberries there. I started going uphill, and I don't know. I got excuses for it, but they're none of them are good. So here we go. I got the cylinder thrown back on this attachment here. And the wiring harness that they gave me to control this unit was kind of a hodgepodge of connections here. They had it set up to run Caterpillar, Bobcat, probably who knows what else. But I just got some power running into the unit right now. I kind of figured it out, and I can streamline this for my machine. I really should only have, where is it, this short nice piece of harness running from the solenoid box down there right up to where the hoses click in, and I shouldn't have to have any of this other garbage once I'm done. So that's nice. But anyway, all that really does is throw power to these solenoids down here, and that controls which valve opens and gets the auxiliary power from the machine. So right now in default, the flow goes into the main hoses down through the valve body and to the spinning drum down here, and the solenoids are going to interrupt that flow and let it bypass over here to these guys. So if I have everything hooked up correctly, this thing should work, and we're going to put some pressure in it and make sure the thing doesn't leak. I took the old Weld Polisher 5000 there and buffed her out. In the words of AVE, Grinder and paint makes me the welder I ain't. There we go. That's all right. I got to get this pivot pin up and out of here, so I've come up with a system finally for my enter pack cylinder. Oh yeah, she's coming. Moving right along. Yeah. Nice and easy now. We got past that sheared bolt and it started moving real easy like I assumed it would. Pull this guy off. No, it didn't. I think the pin did come up some, but then it pulled the threads right out of the nut I welded on there. Lovely. There's 5,000 PSI on the cylinder right now. As you can see, something wonky going on there with the nuts. I'm gonna go ahead and back up and just crank it till something happens. I don't think anything's budging yet. If this doesn't work, then I'm just gonna leave it because obviously it's not gonna fall out. Sweet Lord Jesus. Yep. I don't think that pin wants to come out of there, guys. Whew. Sheared that bolt right off of there. And the pin has not budged. Well, we're going to go ahead and abort that mission and just pretend we didn't see it and put the rest of this thing back together. I don't think the pin is going to fall out on its own. Now, you may recognize the location. This is phase 2 of the Knights of Columbus job that I'm doing. I recently came through here with my Chinese brush cutter and wiped out all the Japanese knotweed, which I didn't know was invasive at the time, but there's quite a bit of it in our area. So basically this stuff grows all over town. I had no idea that it was anything other than just weeds, but yeah. So as you can see, it's already coming back. It's been about a week since I did the brush cutting. I was out of town for a while, plus waiting on some parts to come in for the power rake. Hopefully it holds up today. This is going to be the maiden voyage. I have never used one of these things. I have really no idea the proper technique or ways you're supposed to use it. I have seen some short videos of people using them, so that's all I really got to go on. But what I'm hoping is that for areas like this, where you can see this used to be a gravel lot and has become infested with vegetation, I'm hoping I can come in here and just rake it all out and bring the gravel back to the surface and have a good parking area again. Other areas like over here where it's just all grass growing up through the gravel, I know I should be able to come down through here and make this right again. We'll try to get right up close to these parking curbs here. And things like, I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, there's a hump right here in the gravel. I'm guessing that came from snow removal season and never got knocked back down. But things like that, of course, that rake is just going to obliterate that and hopefully do a good job leveling everything out. So you guys saw the parking lot in phase 1 with the brush cutting. It's nothing special, it's just a big gravel lot. It's got some culvert drains in it. But aside from cleaning up the edges and freshening up all the gravel, we have some puddles over here to take care of. So something like this, yeah, you can throw gravel in there, but because it's so packed and hard around the edges, the gravel just blows right back out of it. It never holds. So I'm hoping that rake can come in here and re-groom the whole area and lay everything back down again, and it'll keep the potholes from reforming so quickly. You can see we got some decent sizers here. I mean, there's my foot for a comparison. This whole area in here used to all be gravel. The grass has taken over. So we're gonna rake all this out and hopefully turn it back to nice gravel. You can see here along the edge where I did my mowing, there's actually curbs buried in here. And again, that's just from years of neglect. Things we have to watch for. Manhole covers. That'll tear up the rake, I'd imagine. A couple more big puddles here to take care of. Anyways, that's enough chit chat. Let's try this thing out. So as I mentioned, I have no idea what I'm doing. This is my first time running one of these things. If you guys got helpful hints, tips, and tricks, drop them down in the comments. Help me not look like an idiot on the next video, but I'm off to look like an idiot for this one. Well, after my first pass, I think I learned a fair amount here, but still probably a lot to learn. I think it's working. I mean, it's doing what I wanted it to do. It's bringing the gravel back to the surface. I mean, this was all grass 5 minutes ago, and now it at least resembles gravel. And then I think after a couple rains, you know, the dirt's gonna wash out of it a little bit. It's gonna pack back down, of course, because I don't have a way to get the dirt clean out of it, but it'll at least freshen up and look like gravel. Getting close to these curbs is kind of tough. I'm gonna make a pass coming the other way now, see what that does. I may end up having to pull up to the curbs and then back up for each one. That seemed to work pretty good over here. I'm sure there's those of you out there that run these things all the time just cringing and laughing right now, but hey, that's how you learn. I'll figure it out. So after playing around a few more passes, I think I do have this kind of sort of figured out. You guys may disagree. You could be right. But, you know, it definitely is working. The gravel is coming back to the surface. The dirt is kind of settling out of it somewhat. I got a windrow here I have to plow up. See, I have a lot of this bigger chunkage that I'm running into. Like, look at this big guy. I mean, really, I know this thing isn't designed for hitting stuff like that, but what are you gonna do? It's in the lot. It's part of the job. It's what's gonna have to happen. So I'm hoping I can kind of windrow all that stuff. I'm gonna make one more pass here down this way, make a nice straight windrow, and then I'm gonna try to chuck all the debris, the bigger goonies and the dirt and whatever else is in there up towards the woods line and get it out of the lot. Originally, when I set out, I was thinking about doing the entire lot, and I guess it's still not out of the question, but right now I just don't see a need to. So I'm gonna do the edges first and see what everything looks like, and then we'll go from there. So there's actually so much crap over here along this side that I'm going to take the bucket down through here first and try to skim all of the debris and junk and vegetation and whatever I can off the top first, so I don't just sit there and mix it into the rock. I probably should have done that on the other side of the lot too, but like I said, first time out with this thing, we're just kind of playing and learning as we go here. Alright guys, I think that is a wrap. I got the parking lot all back drug, everything smoothed out as best I can. We have gained a lot of parking area. I relocated these dumpsters closer together, so that should take up less room. They're also back up against the hillside now, when before they were clear out here. So that looks a lot better. Pretty much where the machine's sitting is where the edge of the parking lot had grown to. So look at that, we gained a whole car length back up against the hillside there. Fattened out all the edges pretty much. This curb line, I gotta show you guys this curb line. Check out all the concrete curb we uncovered. This looks so much better now. I realize this big root ball wad of junk here is unappealing right now, but remember, we're still not done with this project. This is the end of phase 2. We're gonna come back for phase 3 with the excavator. We're gonna take out all these pine trees, and at that time we're gonna take care of all the root ball all the way down through here. There is also some extra concrete curbs here, so I'm gonna find out what they want me to do with those when I come back with the excavator, and we can place those real easy with the bucket and the thumb. So overall, I'm really happy with the power rake, although it is a bit of a learning curve. I think I'm slowly starting to understand it. I'm pretty sure I need to play around with these things too. I think that affects how it sorts and sifts through the material. Those, I don't know, they're clearly damaged down here. This end's bent, and I think they're sitting up way too high, and there's like a rubber cutting edge sandwiched in here, and I think it's like wore completely off. So might need to replace those and adjust them down quite a bit to get this thing to function properly. Also, these caster wheels, I didn't do it. It was like this when I got it. You can look and see this, I don't know, 1.5-inch shaft these caster wheels are mounted on, bent pretty good. So you can't adjust them properly, so I'm gonna have to take those apart, straighten out the shafts as best I can so that you can get them into the different positions. You can see this one's bent pretty good too, because I couldn't adjust them to the height that the machine liked. You know, you're trying to get everything level, and I couldn't get them adjusted properly. So overall, this attachment's a success, I'd say, but it still needs some tweaking and some learning. But I think it did a good job here. And of course, the Takeuchi did another knockout job with 0 downtime. Knock on wood. Well, that's another project in the book, guys. As always, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. It really helps the channel out. Doesn't cost you a thing. If you're looking for any Diesel Creek merchandise, hats, t-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, etc., you can find them over at the Diesel Creek store. The link's down in the description. Lastly, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe so I can see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Later.